You use my example, we've had to be flexible in our household, and I'm considerate of what all our other employees are going through.
Hey, Scott, thank you so much for being on the new COVID-19 edition of the Made in America podcast. I super appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I mean, I've done a lot of talking this week. You can probably hear it in my voice. You and I spoke yesterday just kind of off the cuff, and I guess that's why you figured, oh, let's do one with a recorded version and maybe someone can learn from it. I spent the whole week learning from others. I've shared a lot with others. I think we're all just learning together.
Absolutely, man. That's I think one of the goals of this whole podcast from the beginning was for us to learn and grow together. And when the chips are down and times are tough, that's a good time for us to be sharing and learning. So I appreciate that. So listen, let's start with I think one of the biggest things, which is what's Horst Engineering's current posture. For those that hadn't seen our original episode or don't know you, just very quickly. Give us what Horst Engineering makes, what industry you're in, and sort of size and scope of the business, and then what your current posture is with the current situation.
Yeah. So what's your typical phrase? You say, what do you
make and why do you make it? That's it.
All right. So yeah, and we talked a lot about leadership and organizational development last time, and so today maybe we'll end up talking a little bit more about what we actually do, but we manufacture aerospace components. So we describe ourselves as a contract manufacturer of precision machine components for aerospace and other high technology industries. But those other industries are quite small relative to the aerospace work that we do. So really nearly 98% of our total output is for the aerospace sector. And it's probably split 65% commercial aerospace, 35% defense aerospace. But that can change on a year-to-year basis, and many of our small parts are used on both types of aerospace platforms, defense and commercial. We make the smallest parts that you might find in an aircraft engine: pins, screws, nuts, bolts, bushings, washers, pistons, valves. We do parts for cabin pressure systems, landing gear. We're all over every major aircraft that flies. We do business with the big OEMs. You know the names in this industry. So we are really watching the news closely this week, given the impact on air travel.
And so you guys have three plant locations, right? Two in East Hartford and one in Massachusetts. And so, normally you guys are a full strength or around 150 people strong?
Yeah, we're between 140 and 150, and we are still operating. We went through this wave over the past 2 weeks of absorbing the news, and one of the big topics was essential industries, right? All right, everyone was scrambling to figure out if they were essential, and we're fortunate that we're considered essential because of our work that we do for both the defense sector and then the air transport sector. Mm-hmm. Those are vital to the economy. And we are operating. So all locations are open, but with skeleton crews. We've taken all of our support workers and moved them to remote. And that wasn't that hard for us because of the multi-plant site model and the fact that we used to have Maquiladora in Mexico and we have a plant in Massachusetts. We've already been very progressive with our tech. So we just had to just ramp it up a bit. So we've got a lot of people working remotely. And then when it comes to our production staff, which includes manufacturing personnel, inspection, packaging, shipping, purchasing, people that actually touch the product, we've spread people around between the plant sites. We've given people the flexibility to work different hours in certain circumstances. We've added a few people to our second shift. Who have childcare duties during the day. We've just been more flexible in one way, but in another way, we've reduced our hours a bit in order to have more standard work hours so that we can control the times that people are coming and going and also manage the cleaning schedule.
So what does that mean? Like, what were the shift schedules you were running before, and how did you modify those?
Well, we were pretty much open, 20 hours a day before, a couple of 10-hour shifts plus or minus, with people working all kinds of variations.
Right.
And I think that because we were, flat out from the ramp up of aerospace over the past several years, things get a little bit inefficient. So we've actually implemented a bit more discipline over the past few weeks that'll probably help us in the long run. What happens in a situation like this is it's inevitable that you uncover inefficiency.
Sure. And so let's pull the thread a little bit on how you're being flexible with folks, because I'm sure you're not the only one who's got people that are having sort of healthcare challenges, whether it's, single parent or maybe both parents are working and now there's a demand that both want to go to work and schools are closed. So how much of an impact is that having, and what have you been able to do to help people in those areas?
Well, I mean, even my kids are home. They're 12, they're 10 and 13, and this has been their first full week of homeschooling. Last week was just basically off while the school was trying to get its act together. My wife is a fitness and yoga instructor, so the gym is closed. She teaches at the school, that's closed. She had to cancel the classes that she was hosting at home. So she's down to just working with some of the clients that she coaches online when it comes to running and cycling. So, you use my example, we've had to be flexible in our household, and, I'm considerate of what all our other employees are going through. I mean, my parents are home. They're in that at-risk category. We're a family business. They normally work. My dad usually works every day, so he's been home. And thankfully, again, that the technology allows them to remain connected. In terms of the employees, we've had any number of circumstances, thankfully so far, no direct exposure to the virus, but we have plans in place should that hit us.
Are you having a lot of people, just to go back to the school thing, are you having a lot of people on the production floor who you'd like to come in that aren't able to come in due to the kind of childcare? Has that been a significant impact or pretty minor?
I think that the impact has been minimal to moderate. Certainly, we're not operating at full efficiency when it comes to attendance, but the people that are here are pretty focused. I think that that's been one of the byproducts, is that folks are fortunate to be working. I mean, they probably have children or siblings or spouses that maybe they wait tables and they're not doing anything right now. That's given us a dose of reality. So generally everyone's pulled together, and we're, that flexibility, without being too generic, is both ways, right?
Yeah.
Folks are happy that we're doing what we can to accommodate them while trying to understand this ever-changing environment. That includes understanding what could happen with the rules and regulations around unemployment or furlough. And again, thankfully, we're not there yet. We've been operating. We're waiting on guidance from our customers. But because we were operating with a pretty significant backlog and we've been able to remain open as an essential business, it's been more normal than what you would probably see at a retail establishment.
So thinking about just two things I want to pull on there. One is talking about, unlike maybe some other businesses who theoretically, like IT Direct as an example, we can pretty much work remotely, where if somebody got sick, they might go offline, but because we're in different locations, it wouldn't spread. What are you guys doing to really protect, the business from the perspective of if someone got sick and it spread and half your workforce, was forced to go out? I mean, that could be a drain on your ability to operate, obviously. What are you guys doing in that to protect against that?
Yeah, I'm thinking about our plan because we've got a task force. We pulled it together nearly 3 weeks ago. And that's probably our biggest fear at the moment, would be that if the virus came into the factories. We're fortunate that we've got 4 buildings, so we've already taken to spreading people around, and we've got the cleaning protocols in place. But if we were to see a significant drop-off in business or the inability to operate, we would have to consider having some people out for a period of time, right? And we've got protocols that we've established around exposure that would, probably hurt us in the short term. But the idea with skilled labor is that we want to be able to hold on to our people so that the minute that the coast is clear and we've got the business and the ability to operate, we can bring them right back.
Are you guys doing anything proactive? Like, if you hear about people that are being unsafe with their own personal behavior, do you feel as an employer you have the ability to say, you know what, guys, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to, or gals, but whatever, not going to be able to come in? Is that something you guys are able to do and something you think about at all?
We already did it. Yeah. I mean, we've unfortunately, caught wind of a couple situations where people didn't make the right decisions, and we used it as a learning opportunity for them. And, without getting specific, we worked it out, and they are home currently using their PTO, which is probably not what they had planned when they made that decision in the first place. But they really didn't think through the consequences or the potential impact on others. And thankfully, I've got a great group of people here, and my managers approached that in a thoughtful manner, and they had the wherewithal to make that decision because our task force had already established the guidelines. They didn't have to come back to me to run it by me. They had to come back to me to let me know what they had done and the decisions that they had made. So yeah, we've unfortunately lost a few key people in the short term while they spend 2 weeks essentially on quarantine.
To try and keep that to minimum and keep it from spreading. And listen, smart policy. You gotta do that. What about visitors? What's your guys' policy on visitors, vendors, partners, that type of stuff?
Yeah, we've had no meetings. We're receiving regular shipments, but we developed a protocol to minimize the contact, and those people are not coming into the buildings. We created an exception policy that I think has needed to be used once or twice. I think we had a security system issue, and I think we had a machine issue, and either it was repair people or engineers that had to come, and they had to do the protocol in advance, and basically a screening.
And what's the screening you guys are doing?
It's more of a self-disclosure. We haven't gotten into the temperature testing or anything like that yet. It's more about where have you been, what have you been up to.
Yeah. And are you guys doing any PPE for staff while they're on site? Like, are you guys doing, giving everyone masks or anything like that? Is everyone just sort of doing distancing? What's your posture there?
Yeah, I mean, we have some equipment on site, but we have not been doing masks. We've kept our distance. We've issued all kinds of cleaning agents. I'm a natural guy. I know
that's what I'm like. I've been dying to ask you, because knowing your natural posture, I'm like, what kind of cleaning solvents are you using over there?
I actually have my personal preference. I have a personal preference for what I put on my hands. I use EO products.
Okay.
EO. I don't know if do you follow Guy Raz on NPR?
I know who he is. I don't follow, but yeah.
What's that podcast he does? I can't remember the name of the podcast, but it's How I Built This.
Yes, How I Built This. Oh, I love that one, actually.
So one of the really good episodes was with the founder of EO, and they created this, cleaning agents and soaps and shampoos, so it's less harmful on your hands. All right?
Well, Scott, you got very soft, sensitive hands. We don't want to ruin those.
I mean, that's coming from a guy that grew up around machining coolants and solvents. So I can assure you that over the past 30 years, we have gotten much greener and using much less volatile stuff in the workforce, and that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. So, but are you using your normal cleaning company and they have a new protocol? Are you guys doing self-cleaning? Like, how are you guys? What's the procedure there?
No, we actually are not letting our cleaning company in because, again, between the contract labor they use, not really knowing everybody, we decided to pull all of our cleaning back in-house. And remarkably, I won't name the name of the company because the comments around here are very positive that the bathrooms and the common spaces are cleaner than ever. So I don't know if it's going to be a permanent switch, but our team that have volunteered, that we've asked them to do this, the folks that are normally in maintenance and janitorial have done an awesome job.
Could you just, to help the listeners, could you be pretty, I don't know how much you know, but how specific can you be about what your during shift cleaning looks like, between shift cleaning? Like, what are you guys doing from where you know there's going to be people that are going to be touching the same doorknobs for the bathroom, doing the same setups and change outs on machines? I mean, even touching the same keyboards for ERP entry. Like, talk to me about what you guys are doing. I'd like to get maybe some details so people can compare notes on what they're doing.
Yeah, well, we have a checklist. I mean, again, I'm not in all the operational details, but I've seen them around. I mean, even my own doorknobs are getting cleaned on both sides, which is great because I'm the only one coming in and out, but I appreciate it. They're not discriminating because they just don't know.
Correct.
So they're getting to every doorknob, every door handle, all of the touch points like our ERP system kiosks on the shop floor, our comparators, right? Shadow graphs, the commonly used gauging and tooling. We have all the bathrooms, the cafeteria and kitchen spaces have all been cleared out of congestion. So chairs and things being moved so that we can minimize the number of people that are in there at any given time. And then looks like first shift is leaving. Good to go, Jim. Thank you. Have a good weekend. There you go. So normally they'd be here till 4:30, but on 3:30 we cut it back to 3:30, and on Fridays. And
when does second shift? You run a Friday second shift, and when do they come in?
We do 3:15 p.m. But okay. I'm at the satellite plant, and we haven't been running a second shift here.
Okay.
So
what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing when first shift's still there and second shift's coming in? So you may be doubling the number of people in the plant. How are you maintaining kind of the social distancing at the changeover point?
Our second shift is small. I think that it hovers between 5 and 10 people.
Okay.
So it's not material.
Got it.
You know, on any given day, you probably have 10 people out anyway, right. Especially given the COVID-19 circumstances. So it hasn't been an issue. We've got, people spread out in different areas, whether it's turning, milling, grinding. And then, of course, the multiple buildings, even at our main site, we've got 2 buildings on opposite sides of the street. It's just dumb luck. I mean, our
right.
own inefficiency has
right.
actually benefited us in this circumstance where even if we had a potential contamination with 4 buildings operating, it wouldn't shut us all down right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to change that. I was at the new plant yesterday.
I was going to say, because the people that watched the first episode remember how much you were touting the excitement of your consolidation to one building that you're building, in East Hartford. And actually, this is a good opportunity to turn to that, because I think a lot of people are looking and going, wow, major capital investments maybe need to get put on the back burner, but you're going full speed ahead. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not without a lot of planning and caution. But yeah, I toured the site yesterday. Thankfully, commercial and industrial construction sites are also been green lighted to continue, and all the same practices I described here have been implemented there, though it's the responsibility of the general contractor because they have ownership of the site and they understand that industry and those types of workers much better than I do. So we're not visiting the site ourselves. I got a tour yesterday to understand the safety protocols and what's in place, but our project manager is no longer meeting with the GC in person at our factories, but they are using the social distancing and all the other protocols when they meet at the job site. So subslab plumbing is underway, and this is an 8 to 10 month project, and it's not something you can easily put the brakes on.
What are you guys doing, and get as specific as you can, from communication, internal communication? How often are you communicating with your leadership team, with rank and file staff on what the plans are, how Horst is dealing with COVID-19? Give me the cadence of that communication and about what it looks like in terms of when you do communicate.
We have a task force, which includes our SLT, and then which is a team of 3 plus 3 others from our senior management. So we have 6 people that have a daily meeting, huddle. Essentially, we're doing it remote now, and because we're spread around, some may be home, some might be at one of the other plant sites. But the 6 of us have met every day since this all started, and we've probably had 12 or 14 sessions now. We did the weekend last weekend because the news was changing by the hour. Yeah. And we've got a placeholder for Sunday afternoon this weekend because all these deadlines were set for the end of March, right? The schools, the state. So we're all expecting that between, say, Sunday and Tuesday, all the extensions are going to get, added. I mean, I don't think anyone thinks that all of a sudden they're going to give the all clear signal. No. So we'll be meeting to discuss the impact of that because a lot of people have been out on this premise that, 2 weeks and I can easily use my PTO. What if you're going to be out another 2 weeks or 4 more weeks? Or what if schools are closed till fall? So the team is meeting daily, and that will continue for the foreseeable future because we're looking at this in 2 phases. What we're calling the acute phase, right, which is now, and really over the next 30 days. It was 40 to begin with, and we're probably like 10 to 15 days in. And then what we're kind of looking at like the recessionary phase. I'm using the same approach in my role on a couple of boards of directors that I sit on for nonprofits who are severely impacted by this. But sticking with Horst, we got that task force on a daily cadence. We're communicating with the employees pretty much every, 48 to 72 hours.
Is that via email, or are you guys doing group meetings? Like, how are you doing? I mean, digital meetings, but.
So far it's been memos that we've, created PDFs from. We've emailed them, we've posted them, and we've used our video boards. All right, so it's covering the folks that are both on-site and off-site. And we did our first video last week, which was just me, using the same technology that we're using here to record a 3-minute update. And we're going to do that weekly right now at a minimum.
Yep.
So the second one comes out Tuesday.
And when you're doing the video, what are you trying? How long are you making it? And what are the topics you're trying to hit? What's your, when you're sitting down to do it, what should, if someone's going to replicate that and wants to do a video, what do you think they should be thinking about? What are the topics we're going to hit? What are you trying to get across in that message?
Yeah. So, I mean, I did one that we actually distributed. I did a previous one that was like a dry run, and we ended up circulating it amongst the team. But then by the time I got it around to distribute it, it was old news. So I just kind of redid it. I mean, to get specific, I literally took my MacBook Pro. I got my daughter to show me how to use Photo Booth, right? She's 10, and she loves that app. So with Photo Booth and the video, I did a 3-minute and 10-second video, and the entire production took me about 15 minutes, right? I opened a Vimeo account. It's free, and I realize there's a limit now. You can only upload about 2 or 3 of these videos a week without paying.
That's right.
And we posted a link there. The content, it was only one co-star. He's here. Want me to get him?
No, it's all right. It's all right. We're good.
Well, his name is Horst Bear.
Is it a mascot?
Yeah.
Well, now I do want you to get him. Go ahead.
I'll be right back.
All right.
So this is Horst Bear, right? And he made a special guest appearance because it's just Horst Bear and me at this plant site in the office. The entire finance and accounting team is off site. So we injected a little bit of humor, not too much, but just enough so that people feel good. I mean, it's the same kind of thing that I would do if I walked around and chatted with people on a daily basis, right? It wasn't a discussion. It was more of just me communicating. So I covered the same key bullet points that were in the memo, which was, about the hygiene, distancing, cleaning, appreciation for the janitorial staff, shout out to the production workers who are on the front lines still coming to work. We got to keep our customers in mind in all of this. It's constantly changing. There's a lot going on. We'll do this periodically. Talk to HR if you got questions about your specific situation. It was that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And just blasted it out there.
Are you doing a separate communication to like more of the, I mean, I know you're having the task force, which is 6 people, but I assume at an organization your size, there's like another tier of management that's maybe not in that meeting. And are you communicating with them additionally separate from kind of the big video?
Yeah, that's separate. Our broader management team, with the leadership team and the management team, we're probably 13 of us or so out of 145, right? 10% or so. Yeah, there's been, but we're using our regular cadence. We use, the huddle system and weekly staff meeting. So we're using the regular cadence because despite all the COVID stuff, we're still trying to run the business.
What's your approach to planning for Horst over the next 12 months?
I mean, we were flat out before this, right? Growing, having a hard time finding skilled labor, expanding our footprint so that we could actually consolidate the number of sites we operate. I see all of that continuing, but with more caution and probably, let's face it, a different earnings outlook, right? Maybe there's less earnings to be reinvested in future growth, but that we'll have to be managing things tighter. And I'm confident in my team that we can do that. I don't know what's around the corner. None of us do. But the fact that we've built a strong foundation over years is really what allows us to be more stable than the average shop in an environment like this. So there isn't much you can do today other than react. Yeah. But if you had been planning all along, building in the systems, the people systems, the quality systems, and the financial stability, then you should be able to weather this. That's my confidence in the situation. And then those of us that have the foresight will be thinking about opportunities to capitalize on this. Hypothetically, at the time that we're going to be moving into the new plant site, assuming everything, with the health crisis, subsides over time, right? People's health is top of the list, right? But assuming that subsides from an economic perspective, we could be positioned to take advantage of an environment where people are more hungry for work. And maybe hypothetically, the furniture we were going to have to spend X amount of dollars on is going to cost us a little bit less, right? Mm-hmm. We're certainly going to explore those opportunities. This is how I think about trying to capitalize on a situation that sucks.
Yeah. Well, want to end on this, which is thinking about what you've been going through the last couple of weeks and what Horst has done to be prepared. You see either in your small world or in the global world or Connecticut or whatever, what's something that you see that gives you a lot of confidence and hope and positivity for the future?
Yeah, the number one thing for me has been the collective work that people have done to support each other. And coupled with that is people's return to nature. I mean, you already know that I'm an outdoorsman, and they see the bicycles in the background. It's just symbolic of my involvement with the adventure sports community. But the trailheads are packed, so much so that they're kicking people out, right? You got to find the back entrance to the state forest. Granted, at least here in New England or in the Northeast, the mild winter has given us more ability to get outside. Thank goodness we didn't get a late winter snowstorm on top of COVID-19, right? Now, I'm not speaking for the entire country, but at least in this region, it's been remarkable. I've ridden my bike to work every day, and car has been parked out there. It hasn't moved all week. I keep it here just in case I need it, but I ride home. So if you think about how people are getting outside because they've got no scheduled events to attend, they're returning to basics. They're spending time with their families. They're having dinner with their family. They're talking to their kids. And a lot of that is happening outdoors right now. I think that's been the single biggest shift, and that gives me the most hope. And the buds are starting to sprout.
Spring is springing. That does buoy the spirits. There's no doubt about it. Scott, I totally appreciate you spending some time. I know you're busy sharing your views and being our first C19 Made in America podcast guest. So I appreciate that.
Well, yeah, this is a unique and wonderful opportunity. I'm going to punch out and ride my bicycle home.
That's awesome. Thanks, Scott.
Made in America with Ari Santiago is brought to you by IT Direct.
As always, thanks so much for tuning in. I definitely want your feedback and hope you subscribe. But what I want the most is to build a community where we learn and grow with each other. I hope you're getting a lot of value out of the time we're spending together. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you next time.